Shit disturbs me to see you, Gaston, looking so down in the dumps. Is that what you wanted?
That's all I wanted. Thank you very much. Unfortunately, Gravitas not getting what they wanted and finding themselves eliminated from playoff potential. So that is officially goodbye to Gravitas on the road to the grand final. And as Skimmy and Rusty alluded to just before the break, they're absolutely steamrolling. Order are just a unstoppable force at the moment, and have yet for a couple of weeks to meet an immovable object. Rusty, they are doing that Order thing where it feels like they're clicking, they're finding their rhythm, and they unfortunately Gravitas were the ones under that steamroll foot. To mix a metaphor.
Yeah, for Order, I'm looking at tomorrow's game, right? They've got Legacy's first game of the day, I believe. So this next game that we're seeing between Legacy and Direwolves will be a really good temperature check for will there be an immovable object that'll be able to stop that win streak that Order have, because that was just, that was a slaughter.
Spawn, if you are Gravitas, what are you taking away from this split? What is it that you can learn from this to be able to move on next year and find some more success than they've seen recently?
Yeah, that's a tough question, right? Because Gravitas seem to be in a little bit of a holding year at the moment. They went with a bunch of players that didn't necessarily have the biggest names within the OPL. They have done a little bit of content around that team. They have tried to do a little bit more of organic brand building, I think, within the ecosystem as well. So obviously there are some building blocks there for Gravitas, but I just feel like you can't have kind of back-to-back years in this fashion where you're really struggling to make playoffs and you are down in that bottom three of the OPL. It does tend to get a little bit murky down there, and you do lose your way. So it kind of sucks, because for one of the newer orgs of the OPL, started off with one of our mates as well, Juves, over there as a general manager, now has since moved on. But I think that they did have some really great foundations, and I hope they just get back there. And you hope that they win a couple of games to round out this season, because they actually they have a pretty vocal fan base. Like when you start talking some trash against Gravitas, people start tweeting back at you every now and again as
That's
well.
true.
So I really hope that they are able to turn it around. I think today they just ran into a better team, right? And make no mistake about it, Order right now are playing terrific League of Legends. I actually haven't had much to do with it. Charlie Wraith, Pinch, has been the primary coach, as I've been busy with a couple of other projects. But whenever I drop in on the room, it seems super positive. Today, Rusty kind of highlighted in the draft, not in the draft, in the game. Like, they're taking fights in the right area of the map. The waves are always pushing in the right direction. They always have that next objective to fall onto as well. And when you're playing against fluid League of Legends like that, it happens all the time. You just, we call it the 07 or the golf clap. Like, you just salute or you give them a bit of a clap and you just move on, you go next game real quick. And you try and get it out of your mind. Because sometimes if a team's in that flow state, it's like when Mammoth beat Chiefs in Legacy, right? If you find a team in flow state within the OPL, you just are not going to beat them on that day. And it looked like Order was in very good flow state today.
Absolutely. You find yourself in that situation, you just let it flow, let it flow. All right, well, Gravitas, I hope that you can pick yourself up off the back of this one, play some more League of Legends, get yourselves comfortable again, and if you are going to be playing that League of Legends, then you're going to want the best audio you can find, and to do that, you're going to want yourself an EPOS headset. We've got 2 that we are giving away tomorrow, so today's the last day to enter the competition. Just head to @OPL, our Twitter page, and reply to the post about this competition with your most out-of-this-world gaming experience, the experience that has cemented in your mind your greatness as a gamer, the thing that defined your gaming history. Let us know. We'll pick out 2 favorites, and those 2 favorites will get themselves a EPOS GSP 600 gaming headset to be able to go out there and hear everything the best that you can. So thank you very much to EPOS. All right, as we move on now, we are back with LCK. We have done the Piltover section of Piltover and Zorn. It's time we move on to Zorn. We move into the Twitch chat to, if you will, Spawn. Matchup number 1, it is Jinx versus Echo.
I love Echo. I think Echo's kid's so cool. He just gets in, he's annoying, gets out.
Get jinxed was the greatest thing that ever happened in League of Legends.
Yeah, also true.
Period.
That's why this one
Just
sucks.
There's no other, Jinx is by far the best release of a champion that Riot has ever done.
Why is that?
Were you around during that time,
I
Simi, or
wasn't-
were
I
you
wasn't
playing
there.
Heroes of the Dorm or whatever it was called?
I was playing Heroes of the Dead game.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what's
So when Jinx and Vi were released, they actually they released them with full songs, with full film clips.
okay?
And Get Jinxed is like when I was at Riot and I de-noobed, which is where you go into Riot and they teach you how to be a Rioter. They actually use Jinx for like how you should release champions within a game, because she came out with completely rich. She was already a rich champion. You know exactly what her personality was. She had a song behind her. Like, she's this kind of crazy manic person. Like, I just think, like, just Google Get Jinxed and just
It
listen
was the
to
full
it. and
ordeal.
ignore it.
Yeah, the full
Yeah.
package.
Yeah, it was Get Jinxed and Who Comes Vi were two very good ones.
Yeah. So I'm a big Jinx fan. But in saying that, Chad's voting Echo, so what do I know?
There's a lot of sort of emo scene
I
stuff
voted
going
Jinx,
on with
it's
these
winning.
two champs as well. Jinx at 53%. I mean, I would go Jinx as well. I feel like Echo is too cool. Jinx is actually having fun. Jinx also has a bit of the Harley Quinn vibe.
Yeah,
to it,
yeah.
Where you're like,
Massively.
the smile is it's dangerous. Whereas Echo, it feels like he's trying a little too hard with that.
I am contractually obliged to tell you that Jinx and Harley Quinn are two completely separate characters, Nick, and share very little to no similarities. And no one should dig any further into that situation.
All right, let's move on then, because Jinx is definitely the winner there. We agree, Chad agrees, everyone agrees. The only people... no, I'm not even going to say that, because I don't know how far I'm going to toe that line. Let's move on now to the second Zone matchup. It is Twitch versus Blitzcrank. Twitch v Blitz.
Oh, man. I reckon a rolling golem gathers no rust has to win this one.
Very nice.
Yeah, I love Blitzcrank. I just find Twitch annoying. I think it's just as simple as that.
I mean, Blitz. Well, can I compare Blitz to other IP as well? I feel like that's where I get my, because he's got an Iron Giant face, and that makes me love him.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
I think
hate,
it's a
both
mechanic
these-
champion.
Too, yeah.
I hate both these champions, so vote for whoever you want.
You hate them both?
Yeah, absolutely.
Why do you hate Blitz?
What do you mean, why do I hate Blitz? Because he literally just runs at you top speed, hooks you, punches you, silences you, you die to the whole team. Like, that's great fun.
Yeah, it is. You know, when Swiffer was in OS and I was a solo queue player, anytime he was on the enemy team, I would play Blitzcrank and I would live mid lane to make his life miserable. And that was wonderful for me. So how could you not like Blitzcrank?
If you're having fun but they're not, that's a win.
I hate Blitz.
The only people who don't like Blitzcrank are 19% of Twitch chat who have voted for Twitch. But I think they're those people who like rats and who have rats as pets. And I've never understood you people. Like, I will fight to the death for your right to have a rat as a pet, but I don't agree with it. And I cannot get on board with it. But congratulations, Blitzcrank. You win this hook down. Okay, Dr. Mundo versus Gianna.
Mundo.
Who are we liking?
Oh, Mundo. Every day of the week.
Mundo.
Is there an
It's absolutely
okay?
Mundo.
Is there an argument for Janna in this?
Yeah, absolutely.
What would that be?
Fasfi, who's a good friend of mine, did the best Janna cosplay I think I've ever seen, and that makes me smile whenever I think of Janna. And it was in 2014, and that was my first year of doing this League of Legends thing. So I'm going to go with Janna.
I mean, that's a good argument for Fafsvi versus Dr. Mundo, but not necessarily for Gianna.
No, it is.
Mundo.
You said it
also
doesn't have to be
cosplays
a
as
logical. You said it doesn't have to be logical.
No, that's fine. That's fine. I'm just but I also never said that I would just let your insane bouts of logic pass without any sort of judgment.
Why not?
Mundo is like has so much personality, personality galore. Great skin range that really plays into the weirdness of that champ, Rusty.
Yeah, absolutely. He also says his own name a lot, Nick, in case he forgets. Because it has happened before.
Mundo sets unrealistic body expectations for men everywhere.
What's
You're right,
Janna?
I was going to say, you could
Yeah,
say the
everyone
exact
looks like
same.
I don't think. Yeah, that's.
Like, that's not the take.
Yeah, that ain't it, Chief.
That ain't shit. Go next. Go next.
Oh my
Mundo,
God,
for
that's
sure.
very funny. Okay, we're just gonna. So Dr. Mundo wins this. Can we cut back on what I assume is a very red-faced Spawn right now? Because I recognize that laugh of someone who's just like, I've made a huge mistake.
Thanks, chat.
All right, we will round out this after game number 4 because it is the banger coming up. It is Legacy versus Direwolves, and this is the one we've been waiting for all day, Spawn.
Yeah, absolutely. This is my banger game. I think both of these teams have had kind of rocket performances, but they're both, in my opinion, two of the best teams in the league, and I cannot wait to see them go toe-to-toe. And it's very interesting that this time around they are playing Tally versus the Direwolves, because we have seen Halo a little bit, and I wonder if we see Halo at all this weekend.
There was a post from Carbon during the week that was like, you never know what you're going to get with our mid laners, both named James, both playing Karma. And I feel like if that's the case, I'd probably just play Tally, because then he's got the experience. And at this point, I think you need the wins more than you need to give the experience to Halo.
Absolutely, and that is why it is such a spicy matchup heading into this, because Legacy really do need this one. So let's find out who is going to take it. It's Legacy versus Direwolves. It's game 4, and it's coming up with the Macca's Champ Select.
Okay, I think Top Wind's a really good laner, but last time I versed him, I blind picked and still got TP advantage versus him, and used it to chop Bev and Tally's head off.
Well, I don't have too many thoughts on Legacy right now. We went 0-2 last week when we probably should have gone 2-0. This week, going to put all our anger into Legacy and AV, get it 2-0. I think both mid laners bring pretty different strengths to the team. Like Tally plays roaming mid laners and more like selfless picks, whereas Halo is more of the like traditional mid laner. He plays like carry champions and mages and whatever. But I think right now they're kind of having difficulty enabling Halo. They've like put him on the Karma and on the Ori, which is like, in my opinion, not really making use of him. So regardless of who they use this week, I think I'm advantaged in mid.
I think pretty hard game because Lazy is a pretty good player, but I think our team too pretty good player can win with Legacy.
Here we are for the all-out affair between both teams, a shade of green. 50 Shades of Green is what we're going to coin this one, much like the OPL Classico between Legacy and the Chiefs. This is where we get to see where do these teams look in that top 3 bracket right now. Fun fact for you, there's only been a single victory this entire year that Direwolves have been able to achieve over Legacy. This was your Split 1 playoffs final. They have met on multiple different occasions, but they've just yet to crack the code to beating them.
Here's another one for you. In the last 8 games that we have played, if you are Direwolves, Skibby, 7 of them have been a Lee Sin jungle.
Yeah.
And they just do not want to play other champions. And it has been working for them so far. And so coming into this draft, I'm very curious to see if it's just going to be another Lee Sin that we get, or if something's going to change. Because remember, you've got things like the Graves available, something that's into the Trundle. You know, there's possibilities there. But why would we do that?
Who
where
cares?
we could Lee Sin. And look, it's working for him, so don't reinvent yourself, right?
Absolutely. I mean, we've seen on that same notion that the fact has been for Shocker mid lane, Zoe, Syndra. It's only been those two. Syndra obviously going to be denied away, and this time he's going to say, you know what, I'm going to go for the Orianna, and that has been a big part of their success. The link up between these two, those early fights, skirmishes that have worked in their favor. And have allowed them to then accrue these major leads. No doubt going to be looking to find another powerful pick also for Chippies after his performance last week on the Aatrox. He went, what, like 9-0? Tried so damn hard to carry the team across the finishing line. And he's going to need another big performance into a team like Legacy.
All right, we're going to go for the Victor third pick here for Legacy. This is one of the tally classics, you would say. And this is also one of those matchups that if you throw it way back, you would see a decent amount of Victor into the Orianna. They have very similar range when it comes to laning phase. You know, Victor's laser is obviously going to be a major proponent of his lane trades. And if Orianna ever steps too close, then you've got the Q for the shield. You both have that shield then that's matched. And you can throw down the Chaos Storm to really disrupt the flow of it. So a lot of poking, a lot of sitting back, a lot of it about lane and wave priority, which usually then is a direct reflection on what the junglers are going to be able to do. So to me, this type of matchup, I'll always look at Tally and say this is something that I would be very happy with him having. In saying that, Direwolves with the Orianna composition have a lot of potential to round this out with the Chippies Malphite or, you know, something of the likes that can give them that 5v5, give them that wombo. And that was the thing that they were wildly successful on in Split 1 playoffs.
They certainly were, and you can see that's what they're trying to now deny away from Legacy by taking away the GP, taking away the Kennen, targeting Tapun to ensure they don't have any global threat, to ensure that a fight works in their favor, or a successful TPM with a slicing Maelstrom to guarantee that the wombo combo favors them. They're going to go actually this time around for the Leona. Going to make sure that they have some big kill threat in this bottom lane. We've typically seen when they go for the Ezreal, the likes of Protection, Enchanters, a bit, you know, Bards, Sorakas. Not going to be the case here today, though.
Yeah, so they're going for the Lulu down in the support role. Does make me curious once again for what this last pick is going to be. This is possible. We have seen this from Chippies, and it is going to be a blind pick, whatever happens in top lane. And that's always just, first of all, a major concern going up against someone like Topu who has an abundance of champions available. You know, he could pick the Gnar if it's a good matchup, and that's always a danger when Topu gets his Gnar. So the Mordekaiser is going to get locked in. You've also committed to that Lulu Aphelios down in bottom lane, which means you have to run the cleanse if you are vital. So losing a little bit more power just in that 2v2 laning phase. I think a lot of this game for Direwolves is reflective around what their jungle is going to be able to do as Legacy with the counter pick.
Legacy hovering that counter pick. Are they going to go for the Kale? A Kale that Tapun dealt with quite handily last weekend as an Aurelia. This time he'll be the one playing that. And as we get ourselves ready for this final game of the day, you can see very clear indications of fighting fire with fire in the bottom lane and letting both Vital and Raze pop off in their own fashion. But a similar story between mid and jungle to try and get themselves online for a little bit of gold income that can sway the balance of some early objectives.
And there is an argument to say that maybe Braum would have been even better for the Legacy composition for, you know, the 5v5 for the grouping up and for making that comp work. But you put a Trundle and a Leona together, and that engage can be really nasty, right? The Bard was banned, so you're not going to have that specific combo. But a Trundle Pillar to slow someone down, you basically have to have your flash available, or you're going to be comboed by the rest of the Legacy roster. And they've got a lot of AoE CC that they can start to lay it down then with it when you put Victor and Leona together. So this composition, definitely about team fighting. Could be a 4-person team fight style comp here, however, as you could very easily plant that Kale in a side lane till the end of the game. If necessary, though, you start grouping that up and using the Kale ultimate to deny a lot of the potential team fighting from Direwolves.
And we could see it go the full distance, as you highlight, because last time these teams met, it was a 34-minute game. The next time, 41 minutes. Scaling will definitely be a word they'll want to use. A system, a style of play they've been using to a great effect this split here. But it has been at times quite worrying on the old heart rate there, where you're looking to flip the script and flip the smites on a Baron or a Dragon contest. So no doubt we are going to have a game where macro is of great importance.
Yeah, and let's talk about the fact that these games have been slowed down for a second, because that basically plays into the Legacy strategy as of late. They slowed the game down to almost a standstill. After they lost 2 games in a row, they wanted to really find themselves again, and they went snail pace. And they did get the win, but a lot of that was on just like forcing errors from your opponents, just being the better team of individuals, and expecting those mistakes to come across. Now, I don't think Direwolves are that type of team, right? However, when Direwolves play an opponent they very clearly respect, they do also have the inclination to slow themselves down. And so that's the type of dynamic that we really need to look at here between both of these teams is, will Legacy continue to play slow, or have they refound their ability to speed the game up with advantages? And will Direwolves play crazy slow because they're against a good team and perhaps throw some advantages away?
That's what I'm very curious for, because we have seen at great lengths, as you say, with teams that respect one another, especially Legacy, willing to very much sacrifice the first 2 dragons to achieve a better lane state, be it turret plates, be it gold in the right places, or just be it control of the map as a whole to find those crucial picks. And, you know, we take a quick stock check as to what some of these win conditions are. Obviously, Kale is one to always keep your eye on, but we're looking at Direwolves. It's going to be Chippies with the Mordekaiser Diffram to try and make it a 4v5, but elsewhere, is it as clear-cut as saying it's going to be a battle of the AD carries?
I think that like when it comes to the later stages, it's not even going to be about that at all. I'm looking at Mir 100% for the side of Direwolves. If he can make things happen, then I think that it could be a battle of the AD carries. But until such a point, I would always personally favor the bottom side of the map for Legacy if Babbitt was nearby. Maybe even in the 3v3, I would be looking at Legacy and saying it's pretty powerful. Direwolves, again, they have a lot of poke, they have a lot of potential to harass their opponents, but I think if that's only if they're able to keep this in an isolated 2v2 environment, which revolves, first of all, around getting vision on where the enemy jungler is. So again, it all comes back to the jungle of Direwolves.
And that has been an area of success, as you quite rightly pointed out. It's what Miri's plays. It's all he has in his champion pool right now. It's all he's wanting to use because it gives him so much success. So why change what is not broken? Let's see if he can get off to a flying start, as it has proven to be so far. And look to try and influence this matchup in the mid lane to give Shock any form of advantage into what is now Tally playing to carry as opposed to playing to facilitate on the likes of a TF or a Galio Karma.
Yeah, and Tally definitely does have his carry champions. He's an exceptional team fighter. I'm glad that we panned away before that cannon was touched. We'll never know if he got it or not, and that's more important than seeing him miss it. But yeah, he's definitely a very good team fight player. That comes with a lot of experience that he has as well. So being able to play the less utility, the more damage-based champions isn't something that's foreign to him by any means. And I'm super excited to see him actually get back to this one and play the Victor, because he has the potential to super hard carry this game.
Certainly does. Level 3's there as the junglers collide, and the ward will get placed on down there by the Direwolves. Now transitioning into a scuttle as well to make sure this side of the map belongs to them, and they have eyes in the sky to know exactly where their opponents are. That's what Miri's excellent at doing, getting in the opponent's face and always threatening opportunities where 2v2 could potentially bust out.
And it looked like for a second there he might have considered crossing to the enemy jungle, but it seems like he's going to put more of his efforts towards the top side of the jungle. There's nothing here, and he doesn't know that until right now. So he's actually just going to recall. Babip now has access to this entire side of the map if he would like. Very easily take the Raptors if he commits that auto, and then disengage towards the Scuttle Crab. So they're actually just going to be trading jungle in the end. I think Babip comes out pretty happy for this one. The only difference is time. So Mir gets a reset, right? He gets a couple of extra long swords, and that does mean that if they do meet in the jungle, you would rather be Mir. But until such a time, you'd be pretty happy with this one if you're Babip, coming out from what was a counter jungle to equalizing easily.
Equalizing and denying the respawn on that camp as well, as he can also transition into getting a scuttle, which was opened up by the ability for Owls to roam up. And make sure that nothing was there. Place a wall across the wall right now. As you can see, Legacy continue to pressure and look to push the wave in, which Direwolves are trying to freeze just here for the moment.
Lots of wards. Legacy have got 4 pieces of vision on the bottom side jungle, 1 in Tribush, 1 just recently placed there by Babip as well outside the Drake pit. One of the reasons that you could consider placing that one, not only to spot transitions from mid and from jungle to bot lane, but for the ability to go over the wall and solo the Drake out by yourself. The first Drake is a Cloud Drake, however, that's not the most ideal. I'm going to solo this type of objective, but still good vision, good knowledge given there by Legacy overall, and that ward will outlast the one in the Tribush, so perpetual vision as well.
Vision that they'll most certainly need to get themselves online with the first objective, as Shocker's going to recall and teleport back to this lane. Has picked himself up a tier, and that's going to force Tally's hand to do just the same. As this game goes on, he might have a small advantage because he's got the unsealed spell book, but that is a thought for another time. As you say, top lane is the action, the grass very close. Tapoon sidesteps it, but he could have been in trouble for a first blood.
Yeah, if that one had connected, I think at the very least the flash would have had to been used. He's going to cancel the recall here though, Chippy, so that's actually really big. Toppin now sitting with 0 mana, and if he recalls now, it's going to take too much time. So this wave just in a very awkward position. Maybe just wants to... Oh, hang on.
He's going to force the fight right now because Miro's on the way. Diffram locks him in place. There's nowhere to run and hide. As soon as he comes out of this roam, he's going to say hello to a jungler that can grant them the first blood. Divine Judgment will be used, but that's the safeguarding, and the connection hit him with the dab. Direwolf's first blood.
Yeah, sick little mechanics there from mid to make sure the kill is secured. They even get the ultimate and the flash out of Topoon. Wave also going to crash here, so maybe misses a minion or two and does have to also use that teleport. That means that Chippies can actually hold the TP if he would like and then have that in advantage to be able to influence the bottom lane. So this is actually a really big turn of events here in favor of Direwolves. Legacy are going to trade back the objective. We already spoke about how much damage this does, but they're going to be able to get that one at the very least. I'm still just worried for the bottom side of the map now. Chippy's holding that teleport is a very big deal.
Yeah, it certainly is, based on the fact that now both himself and Lee Sin found a little bit of early success, have got themselves a little bit of extra income to influence that fight if it were to take place. Yes, there's no dragon, and yes, nothing might actually happen based on the 8-minute flip that tends to happen for the Herald, but there's a potential time where they can look to make sure that Vital and Decoy's life is just a little bit easier as well.
At this moment, Babip is effectively off the map, just looking to clear some jungle camps as fast as he can, perhaps accelerating his way towards level 6 just by going for some full clears here. It'll be nice for him once he hits that level 6, of course. But we've already mentioned this, the potential of a Mordekaiser to be able to influence the rest of the map is something that's going to play on their minds for a little while here, and Legacy very much due themselves a reset. Does mean that Direwolves will be in a pretty comfortable position to continue to play this game out. They'll get the reset off first, and they'll take a little bit of time here for Legacy to push this one in. Game from this point, to be honest, probably starts playing towards bot side, but what I would do, and they're already doing it, so it's weird of me to then suggest it, is flip the map to Herald, because Drake's gone, put the Mordekaiser bot lane the furthest distance away from the objective so that he can utilize that teleport advantage and start playing towards the objective on the map.
First to flip, and first to the objective itself as the waves crash and the members can rotate freely. They're going to get themselves in here and say, whilst we got the first blood for you traded for Dragon, we'll guarantee ourselves the Herald, and that is our focus right now of getting as much gold online as quickly as possible. 1k lead so far in the right hands, especially on the likes of an Aphelios. Can look to keep Raze at bay for as long as possible.
And they're going to get the Herald uncontested. They're going to give the blue buff over here as well to Shock, which is very important, of course, having the tier there to be able to get that scaling up faster. You would expect normally in a lot of mage-based matchups, you would even consider something like the Luden's Echo or the GLP-style builds. But I think at this point, people have just acknowledged how powerful Archangels and Saracen Brace ultimately is. Where usually it was just picked into like a burst matchup. Now we're just starting to see it just more in general, it feels like.
Yeah, definitely a blanket choice for what it offers you. Essentially a second summoner and a pseudo barrier. On a much shorter cooldown. As we see Miru hovering topside. So he found success beforehand. The Sonic Wave comes in through. Ooh! Fantastic shift there. As Raze evades a potential insect that would have opened up this top lane.
Yeah, Mir may be able to use the control ward there to be able to ward hop his way in if he wanted to, but just maybe not expecting the reaction time from Raze there, but he did it expertly. Still has the flash available. It was just the E used. Once again, showing the mechanics that he does have, and the reaction time, most importantly, as an ADC.
For the respect shown between these two AD carries, as you saw a Vital highlight. This is a very good play I'm going into. I am a very good Aphelios as well. We spoke about it earlier, actually, myself and Spawn, about him and Praetor both being big fans of the Aphelios and being the ones really that can look to really put in a hard day's work, a solid performance on it. Right now, he's got himself the tier 2 boots, and he's looking to try and find any kind of advantage, hence why Mira was there.
And Mir really hovering with this Rift Herald, has got intent to use it in either top or potentially mid. The way that Shock is now pathing himself up as well, they hover to get the full priority in mid lane, and now they're going to place the Herald top lane for sure. Super aggressively, even maybe over this wall. You can't stay. Not with Shock here already as well. Too much threat. Tower's definitely going to fall. Bit of extra gold in the pockets of Direwolves and accelerating that lead a little bit further. They'll be able to get the full turret here as well.
10 minutes in, first turret will go the way of Direwolves. All success found in the top side of this map has now been granted. Now being ballooned just a little bit further. Spirit's actually done a fantastic job of evening out what was a bit of a CS deficit that he suffered to start off this game. He's now finding himself up by about 15. Has pushed Chippy up against his turret. That prevents him going for the teleport top side.
Surely Tally, yeah, was just using an unsealed spellbook to double take that one. Was just trying to win himself a trade. Doesn't have a lot of mana though, so just trying to win that health trade. Does want to reset sooner rather than later, you would expect. After that bit of a alpha male play there coming out of him. Things will continue as normal, and you're right, you mentioned the top lane CS differential. That's really important for Legacy, first of all, right? Continuing their scaling. Their composition is absurd when it comes to the scaling. It doesn't mean that they outscale Direwolves super hard, but I would rather be Legacy's comp late game.
And that's why I think we're seeing Miru be a lot more proactive on the map, looking to really try and find any kind of advantage early on so that the game can't be slowed down completely. Turn away the camera once again, forget the cannon.
Anytime we look at mid, he's missing cannons. This is a coincidence, maybe? Or is it an O's cannon? Who knows?
Perhaps Big Tally's been playing too much WoW. I don't know. We play a fair bit together.
To take one himself by using the E. Misses it, puts up a sadder move. So cannons are just going awry left, right, center here on Summoner's Rift.
Gold has been lost. Will they go for the invade? They were looking at it, potentially showcasing it, but they decide against it in the end, and Mira will be quite content in just picking up what is now going to be a scuttle with the vision in the area and the dragon having spawned. Will they go for it is the question.
Doesn't look like there's going to be a contest by any means. Babip actually moving towards mid lane, at least to clear some vision around there. So if he does even make his way to the river at all, which is unlikely, it would be far too late. The objective already gone. Not even going to use the smite Izmir. So absolute confidence for Direwolves that it's an uncontested objective. Eyes will now shift towards the second Rift Herald of the game. And how they're going to navigate themselves around that one. As they've still got a bit of time to be able to play their lane phase out as normal here, Skimmy. Maybe look for some picks.
And they do. 13 minutes here. Look at Decoy posturing very aggressively, trying to hit the Whimsy, but more so the Glitter Lance, as they are now threatening a turret dive with this wave set to crash on in. And the Wild Growth to ensure whoever takes the turret aggro will be well protected to soak up that damage. That will be prevented. That will be dismissed as they are forced to back away. Going to be playing for a Mountain Soul here.
Yeah, not going to be an Ocean Soul, not going to be an Infernal Soul. I mean, Mountain is okay. Usually you'd be very happy with that against the Burst type of composition. Both teams having one Drake apiece here as well does mean that it's going to be quite a protracted game before a Soul is actually in contention, especially if we continue to trade these objectives. Really is just about a scaling game here, Skibby. I think you were right on the money saying it was going to be slow-paced. Both teams very comfortable just farming. You know, you've got your tier stackers, the Ezreal, the Orianna. You've got your Aphelios, who's steadily making his way up to the 200-year mark. You've got the perfect Hex Core now finally online for Tally as well. And from this point, we start getting some items with some serious team fight prowess.
Yeah, I mean, they've got the champions, as you say. They've got the playstyles that cater towards it, and they know how good both teams are. That they can't afford to give any kind of small lead across, because they're both well capable of utilising that to fantastic effect. And no doubt we'll be keeping our eyes on Twitch chat saying 10 out of 16, 11 out of 16 for that kill as it continues to get bigger and bigger and bigger.
Not quite a Cassidon, but definitely something worth counting.
Definitely is.
That's my favourite thing with Cassidon, by the way, is when they get solo killed in mid lane at level 4. Someone will just type 4 out of 16. It just makes you feel a little bit better about that.
It softens the blow, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Well, that will be Direwolves picking up their second Herald of the game, and with the turret plating having fallen on down, that headbutt will do a lot of sticking damage as Babip just does a bit of a drive-by through, not forced to burn any summoners, not forced to use his subjugate. That tier 1 turret will be crippled. It's taking a fair chunk of damage.
Post 14 minutes though, so we're not going to get any turret plate gold going the way of Direwolves. It was just damage to the turret and it was immediately summoned, and I can't fault Elysian for doing such a thing, especially when there's no turret plate. Ooh.
Here's the 1v2, and Zephram goes on out, and as it expires, they look to try and collapse upon Chippies as the Chaos Storm does a bit of damage, and Divine Judgment just for good measure. But Baby Tapoon wishes he had that on his head, because he gets taken out by the jungler. Lee Sin with the fancy feet dashes on over with the wall, flashes back into the river to try and juke at the members of Legacy, but they have so many members in the area, they can lock you down with CC for days. Draven with the thumbs up, Tally flirting with Defi, nearly fell on down, but a stopwatch keeps him alive.
But Mir buys so much time. Not only does he almost get a second kill to equalize the trade, he buys so much time that mid lane outer turret does also fall. Shock, Vital, Decoy, all putting their time and resources towards the objective itself. And honestly, it's well played from Direwolves, considering how bad that had started for them. We panned to bottom and Chippies was in a whole host of trouble. Tally with a good stopwatch, though, for good measure, I will say, to make sure that he stayed alive, as that was closer than he would have wanted it to be. Not comfortable at all.
Definitely the scariest moment of the game so far. I believe 5 flashes were actually burnt in our exchange as well to try and find any kind of advantage. And I think, yeah, you hit it right there in terms of Lee Sin buying so much time for his team to take the turrets and look to continue the lead, continue the vision of Yuzul, and make sure this gold lead at 2k stays in their favor.
No ultimate just yet for Leona, only just comes off of cooldown. Really waiting to see AD carries and mid laners of Direwolves specifically as well get involved into the mix in this game. So far there's just been a lot of wave clearing, a lot of farming. Both mid laners are on the clock. Both AD carries are starting to get past the clock in terms of CS per minute here as well. Top lane is suffering a little bit, as that is where the action has actually come down. But neither top lane are using their teleport to get into the mix for team fighting with the rest of the team. You know, Chippy's still having his teleport available. Not really being utilized just yet, but I will say that TP advantage pretty big for a Drake in 15.
So it will be. There goes the Solar Flare, coupled that with the Chaos Storm. Ultimates are being utilized to try and lock down a member and prevent them from jumping in as aggressively as that. That was Direwolves searching for the fight, baiting out some resources, and now poised to take the 3rd dragon of the game.
Fear with no HB, though, does need to respect the side of Legacy. It is about a top diff thing right now. Chippies is actually moving his way down here, though, so he's not threatening the inner turret in top lane. All Vital.
Then they're caught out Vital. He's forced to burn that flash, hangs onto his cleanse, however. There goes the grass, but Chippies, he won't bring anybody in. Definitely no chickens there that he's going to be looking for, but it is all about this control for the dragon itself. Members of Direwolves being caught left and right, but with the move speed they have, are able to disengage away. Is this the one? Ooh. There it is. Chippies goes for the Death Realm, takes out the Victor, gets locked in place with the Stasis Trap. Isn't able to get the solo kill, however. Big shot barrage goes on out, and that is padding the health bar. Still waiting for that all-in moment. Both teams flirting with the poke from afar, both trying to find any kind of advantage. Any small glimmer of hope means they can get this dragon. It's tension right now here, Rusty.
This should be Legacy's Drake. They've just had absolute control of the river, routing Direwolves constantly. You're looking at a steal from Mir, maybe, but no Mordekaiser ult that makes this very difficult. Teleports are coming in.
Oriana doesn't have a flash, but does have a teleport to get into that fight right now, waiting for the shockwave to be used. There goes the Solar Flare, as Legacy look to try and disengage away right now, and that they do quite successfully with a pillar landed down too as well. There is no chance for the Direwolves to collapse upon that, and they're going to be quite happy with the fact that they were able to burn out a teleport and still net themselves a win.
Yeah, that was fantastic from Legacy from start to finish around the Drake itself. Remember, it starts with catching Mir out of position, getting some wards down inside Legacy's jungle. They use the Leona ultimate, and that skirmish protracted for so long that Leona actually had her ultimate up again by the end of it. But constantly pushing Direwolves back, not letting them get any flanks, not letting them get any concaves to get around your opponents. Smart stuff here from Legacy, again, playing their composition out as it should be. Cover the choke points with the Victor W, with the Trundle Pillar. Use the Ezreal to poke them down. They force summoner spells. I mean, it's just brilliant stuff from Legacy.
And it's only going to get worse, isn't it? The fact that now the Iceborne Gauntlets come online, that poke, that harassment from afar that allows them to continue to hold an area of the map, that's just going to slow them down. So if they look to try and use those mobility factors, not going to be as easy to run away from their grip.
And if that's the way that this game's going to be played out, Skibby, then something needs to change from the Direwolves side. One of those things could potentially be a teleport flank from the likes of Chippies to get into the backline and use that ultimate. They just can't afford to walk into choke points where Legacy already have control of those areas. We don't have the Drake for quite some time here. However, Baron is the only major objective currently up. But with the mid lane turret still being available for Direwolves, it's very hard to navigate your way around the Rift right now if you are Legacy in order to take any kind of objective. So pretty slow passive stuff is what you'd expect once again for the next couple of minutes.
Yeah, definitely. It's going to cater once again into this man's hands on your screen. Tapoon level 12. Well on his way now to hitting that second item spike, which is the Nash's Tooth. A ton of cooldown reduction. It's a couple with the damage that it'll be doing by that stage of the game. And, you know, is very much to the fashion of what this match means, really. Playing around the objectives when need be. Other than that, playing to the lanes and retaining the 10 CS per minute.
Big damage down in bot lane. Chippy's going to ult here. He's committed.
Yeah, he's fully committed right now. Once again, Miru's in the area. Divine Judgment goes on out, but so much mitigation. Look how strong the Mordekaiser is. He takes him out, and Miru can't even find himself an assist as he rocks on up.
Yeah, finger on the pulse there. Chippies has the timing down absolutely perfect. Hits all of the skill shots required of him as well. They're going to trade flashes in the end, but Chippies with another kill in his respective lane. Topin now going to find himself 0-3. This KO really not providing dividends for the side of Legacy whatsoever.
We wanted to see another big performance from Chippies after his stellar showcase on that Aatrox in to order last weekend, and he's bringing the goods so far. He's once again saying that it almost feels like Kale is a doomed pick.
Certainly getting the vibes of that right now, aren't we? I will say that doesn't get any better if Chippies continues to snowball working towards the Nash's Tooth build, so definitely going to be a duelist as his primary objective in this game. Whoever he takes into the Death Realm isn't about saving his team, it's about taking them out himself, stealing those stats, putting some work into the rest of the team fights. We've also, to be fair, we've seen a lot of Mir on Topoon's side of the Rift.
Yep.
Not the easiest feat to be that Kale, knowing that Mir is hovering at every moment. You know, this is kind of throwing back to the Direwolves that we know from Split 1, when Mir does have his preferences in lanes that he ganks. And they always end in wherever Chippies is.
Feels very much the Chippies of old, of making sure that he gets online, gets fed, and can be the quote-unquote franchise player, if you will. They targeted Tapoon in the draft. They've targeted him in this game as well by making sure that there is that back and forth between who holds the lead in terms of gold. And as you saw only moments prior, it is now Chippies with a 500 gold lead as a result. What can Legacy do? Well, it starts with them pushing out top wave. Tally going to get their first turret of the game. And looking to try and crash these waves in as they get themselves ready for another Dragon up in 40.
Yeah, maybe we get some resets out here first after the vision is placed by Direwolves. We'll see how they choose to play this one out. Teleports are going to be matched now and available for Topoon and for Chippies. From the looks of it, Tally's just cycled through a spellbook, so he also has that teleport up and available. And they've actually changed their lane assignments, right? They've gotten rid of the Kale into the Mordekaiser matchup at the moment. It was Victor hanging out in that lane. Has his Lichbane spike, but most importantly, doesn't have to interact. You know, one of the biggest strengths of Victor is you just sit real far away, throw those lasers out. The game's simple.
Ooh, Shockwave on 2-3. Shock using that to good effect right now, but he's in so much trouble. We'll see the Wild Growth. The Chaos Storm is sticking. The shields are burning. He falls on down. There's a shutdown for shutdown. But out goes the Vital Show. He takes down Kale. One by one they fall. Direwolf showcasing that they have such a big power spike with this gold lead and will not allow Legacy any kind of comeback condition. Also going to fall on down. Raze with blue buff. All the cooldown reduction in the world. Can't prevent his team from crumbling around, and what was a Dragon Call now quickly turns into a Baron.
And Mir on the hunt as well, looking to keep Raze away from the area. The last thing you want to deal with is an Ezreal poking you at the Baron itself, while you are all half health after a teamfight victory, but they're going to succeed. Raze now going to move his way towards the Drake and see if he can take that one down. If he starts with solo, there's even a chance that they'll be able to get there in time, Direwolves, and respond to this one. But that was a fight on two fronts, Skimmy, and we'll get to see that once again because it starts with Mir on 0 HP and a big shockwave as he gets stunned. So Shock just all about surviving for as long as he can. Decoy flashing to use the ultimate, flashing, making sure the shields were on. And while that's happening, and while Mir's making plays to try and round up Tally and get those kills, Chippies and Vital have just put themselves into overtime getting work on the other side. We've already seen how big Chippies can be, and we know that Vital's starting to get those items across. Those two in tandem put in some serious work as Mir hits the kick at the end.
look how much time Shock bought with his Seraphs, with his own shield, with the Lulu shield as well. The overcommitment there from Legacy to fully go and chase him down into that fog of war. Allow really the likes of Chippies and Vital to form that flank, and with these, take that victory in that team fight there. Yes, Legacy have 3 dragons to the name. That's what they're playing for right now, but with Direwolves having a gold lead prior to that, and now a Baron buff, there's a very real threat with the earlier turrets down that they are pushing for an inhibitor.
Legacy do get the Drake and put themselves on soul point from Mountain with 3 mountains as well, so that's actually pretty significant. Does mean they'll be very tanky. And the one thing that I will say, at a certain point in this game, you actually just stop bringing Kayle to the party. And they really need to maybe start considering that a little bit more aggressively now before it's too late. If you were Legacy, just plant him in a side lane and try and actually bring some focus from the opposing team. But at this stage, no teleport, not having the best game for himself is Topoon. He's going to have to step up in the next couple of minutes to weather the storm of Direwolves with this Baron buff before it gets too late.
Yeah, both Topoon and Babbitt unable to match that of their counterparts right now. A 3-level difference in the jungle, 3 items to 1 as well. Miru once again showcasing why this Lee Sin has been picked in virtually every single game we've seen in weeks gone by. And Chippies continues to find form and find success and is dealing with this Kayle quite handily so far. 5 turrets to 1. They continue to squeeze the pressure, the utilization of the Baron buff to ensure that, yes, whilst you can farm that XP, we're going to make sure that you're locked inside your base and take all the gold available to us on this map.
Yeah, so far Chippy's having an absolute blinder. Definitely worth crediting the player. Mechanically, he's also been up to stuff here on his Mordekaiser, keeping the Kayle down. Witsen going to be on here for the Kayle as well, worth pointing that one out, as it does help a little bit, but probably not enough in a one-on-one situation against Chippies just yet. Right now, they're just biding their time, doing their best. Raze needs to clear these waves. He's the only person who can reasonably get in range. And even then, as you can see, he is being challenged at every avenue.
Waves are crashing on in. Top lane is passively pushing in their favor as well. Raze has now just picked up that Death Stance. He's got himself all the cooldown reduction. He's maxed out at 40. This is when Ezreal can start to get quite scary. Is it too little too late? 2 levels away for the scale before that's the true major power spike. Direwolves are putting you on a timer and saying, yes, you're locked inside your base. Yes, you've got these options to try and come on back through, but we're not going to make it easy for you to get that soul point.
And you know, for what it's worth, while the soul point is there for Legacy, what that really means to me is that they've bought a lot of time. You know, that means that it's 3 Drakes away from Direwolves ever having the soul point themselves. That means it's 3 Drakes away from an Elder even being considered as an objective that will spawn, so it really does limit the options available to Direwolves on the map. It makes ending the game just a little bit harder for them. As while they may be snowballing decently well right now, and they did force their way to break at least a turret inside Legacy's base with that Baron buff, it's expired. So for the next 2 minutes, gameplay will probably revolve around the Mountain Drake, but if you're Legacy and you feel unsure about the objective, just let it go. You've got time on your side now.
You've still got all your inhibitors. You're not bleeding when it comes to the common minion dance that we tend to see around these major objectives, so you definitely highlighted that one. Really feels now for Legacy, the major threat has to be the magic damage coming out from the Orianna as well as the Mordekaiser. 185 armor is this Ezreal. Very well protected into the likes of the Lee Sin that's fed, as well as the Aphelios. Whether or not he can get the uptime to navigate the fight and do what Raze does best.
Yeah, a lot of team fight monsters here on the side of Legacy starting to really find their stride in regards to items. Now we're just, of course, as you mentioned, we're observing if the mechanics can keep up with that one. You can see Legacy are going to concede control, though. They're going to prioritize their minion waves right now, depending on Topoon, as long as he doesn't overexert himself for this wave. They're just going to clear. Probably concede the Drake at this point as well. You can see a lot of the movements from Legacy overall are going towards the Baron. Yeah, Topoon was playing a dangerous game there.
And I think it's smart for the points that you mentioned. Legacy have obviously realized that we're not winning these ones, so we'll pick up these dragons for the denial. They can afford to sacrifice one of these, buy them a little bit more time, give them a little bit extra chance for these major carries to hit that spike level 50 and 1 away from the magical number that Twitch loves to highlight. Will it be enough to turn this game around? We've seen Legacy do crazier things, but they flip it around the late game. Is that a similar narrative here today, Rusty?
You never know with a wildcard team like Legacy, right? We know they've got the caliber of player. But we also know the Direwolves are a very commendable team, very skilled team, as well as a team fight focused type of team. Their scaling basically matches that of their opponents, though in a couple of different ways, of course. So Kayle versus Mordekaiser. And that Kayle is going to be indefinitely behind. So that is one piece of advantage that Direwolves will have consistently going in their favor. In saying that, we know that Legacy are capable of greatness. So you have to continue to respect.
And respect they do, buying more and more time to continue to farm, to continue to hoover, vacuum, take all that XP that they can find. And whilst it may have been an easy decision to sacrifice the Dragon, I'm pretty sure Legacy do not want to sacrifice this second Baron.
How long will it take for Direwolves to clear the vision is essentially the question that we're going to be asking. And Chippy's only just now revealed himself Vital.
Vital in trouble. He's been flashed upon right now. Will he burn the cleanse? Well, he's gone! Raze finds it! That's a big shutdown! And a big respawn time down for 45 seconds. In comes Chippy's for the teleport. Level 16 is there for the Kayle. They take out the jungler. 80 for jungle. It's all going crazy. Look how many shields this Mordekaiser has! A raid boss deployed on the Rift. As everybody gets big stone plates, wild growths, you name it, these members are titans in the OPL. And that is Legacy doing what they do best. Late game team fights, composure at its finest. They're going to go to the Baron.
Yeah, they find their moments. They get 2 shutdowns as well, not just 2 kills. Baron's going to get taken down pretty quickly, even though the Kayle is behind. There is a significant amount of damage that can be done to this objective. Now, note that Mir has free access to a flank, and therefore has free access to a potential steal, and Raze just puts the foot down and says, you're not allowed in this area. This slows down the Baron take, but if it pushes Mir away, that's a big win.
Will Miro do it? Will he commit? There's no smite. He doesn't steal it. It gets picked up by Victor. They ensure the Baron. Now, Direwolves collapse on towards Raze. He actually gets kicked to safety. A 2-man Shockwave shot to whatever he can, but now 2 overexposed. And with the cooldown reduction on Ezreal, it makes light work of taking him down for a quick, easy double. Vital going to rock up to the situation with his team dead around him. He's got the ideal weapon set up. He's got 1,000 years of experience and damage behind him. He still has the Lulu. But he's going into a Baron buff now.
And that's just Legacy, man. We've been speaking about this all game, right? You can never discredit them. We spoke about their ability to team fight, but what it came down to was catching Vital out of position in mid lane with a big pick, and particularly Babip and Raze putting in that work together. The follow-up fight that happens at the Baron, once again, is the team fighting ability of the Victor with the Ezreal, the mobility that Ezreal has, hopping left, right, and center, and really keeping Direwolves down. They know how to push the advantages they have when they have them. And even though they are still 4,000 gold behind here, Skimmy, it definitely did not feel like it in that fight.
It definitely did not. And we highlighted that this would be a late game scaling match. But if these teams have done it before, they've made picks consciously in the draft. These are champions that they want to get a few items online before they decide to do anything. And that is what we have witnessed here today. The Legacy buff well and truly online. Out goes the Soliflare. No claims here for Shock. And he just gets deleted. It looks like they even had an Elder buff because he dropped down so quickly. That's going to be the mid-tier 1 finally going down the way of Legacy. And 34 minutes in, now they even up the kill sheet.
Absolutely eviscerated. Shock health bar does not exist. Now they continue to push forwards. Chippy's the last bastion of hope here. Wants to have a crack.
It doesn't look like he can actually win it anymore. No, he cannot win it. Divine Judgment is the difference maker. Tapoon going for the 1v3. He gets polymorphed. He will fall on down, however. Can Tally make a miracle happen? He doesn't have the ultimate for the pillar. It might be enough to secure them the chance to get another kill. It's not going to be enough here. It's now going to have a battle between both the AD carries. How many years experience? That many years of experience as he falls on down. Raze, the perfect player, showcasing why he has the reputation that he does. And now that is staggered death time is here for the Direwolves as Legacy look to take inhibitors of their own.
Yeah, Raze turns down the 200 years to 0. Ezreal huge. Legacy find their advantages. They are still behind in gold as they work their way into inhibs. Hold that.
That was a beautiful Chaos Storm there by Tally. Miru jumps in, silence. He can't even execute the combo. This man is so good. He gets it done. As soon as they come out the fountain, they're sent straight back packing. And Legacy are going to go for the end right here, Rusty. 35 minutes in, they've done it again. They always find a way to close out a game when it seems like their backs are pressed up against the wall. They're going to farm that KD a little bit more, because why not? But all said and done, Legacy will win the game.
We think the game's going to end, I believe.
It just cut to us.
Legacy should have ended that one.
That was so anticlimactic. Oh, no.
Uh-oh. No, we'll just say 100% it's ended. We're not remaking. No one freak out. Well played from Legacy in the end, and that's what you expect from the right. They have the ability to slow the game down. The Drake control, we discussed this as well, Skimmy, was a pretty significant aspect of that. Just knowing that Direwolves lost a couple of win conditions, routed them, and one pick genuinely turned the game.
It certainly did. I'm just lost for words. What a turnaround. It's happened so many times now. And Miru's going to feel so upset based on the fact he's gone for the Lee Sin, went for early pressure, has gone for what's worked for them, was so fed, had bullied Bab about by such a big lead. I think at one stage up by 4 levels. And Legacy, just one of the best teams at keeping composed and bringing it to the late game. And I'm going to welcome back Nick and Spawn and ask Spawn the big question of, what is it about Legacy just keeps allowing him to flip burgers and make it look like it's a second job for them?
I'm going to unmute myself before I speak because I just remembered I was muted. So it's just their composure and experience. I mean, we kind of hit it on the head, but when your 2 carries are Tally and Raze, then you can take any game to as late as you want because they should be able to win those scenarios. And, you know, Raze on Ezreal, it's definitely been his best pick this year. So the fact that he's prioritizing that over something like Aphelios, it makes sense to me. And I've said this for a very long time, and people behind the scenes would be able to quote me on this. Tally does play control mages. He just doesn't play the meta control mages. So if you blind pick a control mage into him, he will be able to take something like a Victor. If you take Orianna or Azir into Tally, he will play Victor. He'll also play Corki, which even though it's not a control mage, like it behaves like a control mage, right? So I think that he's a guy that you have to still give respect to in the draft. And I think that whilst Direwolves got a good draft, I think there were some holes in it. And I think the Leona pick would have caught them off guard completely. And it gave them an area to play through. And Legacy, you know, just really well played as the game went late. In saying that, Direwolves should have won that game in about 23 minutes. Like, it was pretty much done, dusted over. Like, the KO was just useless in the side lane. They kept going towards Mordekaiser, and it was looking good. I actually think that fight where they sieged mid lane turret as opposed to rotating to help Chippies and Miru out in the bottom lane river is an area that they'll look back on and say, hey, maybe if we rotate down, we actually clean them there and we get a much bigger advantage earlier on in that game.
Jubes is popping off in chat right now, and I can hear the excited shouting coming out of him, even through text form. Congratulations there to Legacy. Let's take a look at the results from today as we round out the evening of professional League of Legends action. You're gonna sneak in a sneaky Nexus Blitz. The left-hand side again. I can't cope. It's weird. Is it not weird? It's weird.
It's weird because they're not all blue side teams or all red side teams. They're just winners.
It's a team with side selection. So when you actually think of it that way, it makes a lot of sense. Because if you get side selection, you should win the game.
Oh, is that it? Is the side selection team? Okay,
yeah, left side selection.
Right. Okay, cool. Add this to the OPL bingo. Chiefs taking down Pentanet.gg in Game 1. Avant taking out Mammoth for Game 2. Order demolishing Gravitas and knocking them out of playoff contention for Game 3. And then Legacy fighting back against the Direwolves and winning Game 4. You want to be on the left-hand side of this graphic today. And let's take a look at the standings as they stand now, because there will be something of a shake-up. Oh no, we'll go to the schedule first. Let's go to the schedule first, then we'll go to the standings. Tomorrow, Order, Chiefs, Pentanet, and Avant are going to win. The losers are going to be Legacy, Gravitas, Mammoth, and Direwolves. You can check out all those games tomorrow from Saturday the 25th of July. What was that, Spawn?
I didn't say anything. That was Rusty. But good job, Twitch chat.
Good job, Twitch chat.
Because they're normally the people that confuse Rusty and myself.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Good. Okay, well,
Bloody
this
hell,
is all
Nick.
just a disaster here at the end. We are going to be hosting the Valorant Ignition series when it starts at 8 p.m. tonight. But that does mean that we have a little bit of time to fill. We've got some LCK we need to finish off, and I think, Rusty, we can do it. The dream's coming true. We get to squeeze in one game of Nexus Blitz. We get to put
Jesus.
Spawn in there and make him play it. So that is an exciting time to be alive. It's also exciting if you are watching the OPL because NeoSurf want to give you cold, hard cash. NeoSurf want to give you $500 to join our opening titles. And they'll give runners up $100 each. All you need to do is make a short video joining our opening title sequence, and we will pick our favorite one and the runners up. Winner gets $500. Runners up get $100 each. You send those videos to @OPL on Twitter via DM, and you follow NeoSurf Esports on Twitter for your chance to win. And also a reminder that the EPOS competition we've been running for the last couple of weeks, that closes tonight. We are drawing that tomorrow. So get your entries in by replying to that competition post on @OPL on Twitter, telling us your most out of this world gaming moment, and you can win yourself a GSP 600 gaming headset. Thanks to EPOS, we've got 2 to give away. We're going to be giving them away tomorrow. So please join us for that, and good luck to everyone who has entered that competition. Okay, gentlemen, thank you very much for hanging out today. I feel like it was a very breezy one. 7:30 and we're done with competitive league. Skimmy,
Weird.
your voice must be thankful for this.
That's all I'm doing right now. Is I keep feeling a little tickle in my throat. But those games are pretty hype. I'm beaming. Super hype. Super exciting. I liked it. I liked it a lot.
Spawn, you will be joining us for Nexus Blitz, which you have to suffer through. The trade-off that the Ignition series gets any sort of promotion from our broadcast is that you have to play that game. So you're just going to have to suffer through that. And Rusty, I believe you need to pee.
Oh, more than you know. More than
All right.
anyone needs to know. That's how bad.
I'm sorry. I'm fully. For those that can't see, I wonder if I can do this now. Can we swap to? I'm actually going through the comic, the Spirit Bonds comic thing. Oh no, not to me, to my game client already. I'm actually just going through the Spirit Bonds comic while you were outroing the game, so I did not hear a word you said.
No, that's fine. I was doing that as well. When I got to there are some dialogue choices when you start interacting with some of the champions that I'm like, what kind of comic am I reading here? And I know there's some people in Twitch chat who very much enjoy it. What I'm enjoying is seeing Rusty.
I'm about to
stress
leave. I'm about
so
to leave.
much. There is fear in that man's eyes. No one wants to wet
I'm about
themselves
to
on
just
an
walk
international
away.
competitive League of Legends broadcast, but that's what's about to happen if we don't let him go. So thank you very much, everyone, for hanging out and watching. Can we get a hold it, mate, in the chat for Rusty as we say goodbye? Thanks to the production crew. We'll be back with the MPL in 5 minutes, then the Valorant Ignition series after that. Rusty, you are free to pee.
Today is the NeoSurf Cup, and we're going to be playing against Misfits, so hopefully we can bring home the win.
NeoSurf is simple, safe, and secure. You can go to your local shop and get a voucher code and use it online, preferably to buy League of Legends skins.
He's got this! It's dead! He's got it!
If you're craving the taste of your favourites, head to Macca's for a fast, safe and contactless drive-through experience. For your Macca's run, contact-free, we'll be here.
you could have saved them.